How's everybody doing? It's Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. And this is going to be a short update. I'm going to get into a longer one maybe tomorrow. It's 8:30 in the morning. I am back in Hamilton, and I'll get into that in just a second. I'm actually back at my old camp, but I'm not here to stay. I'm just here to reflect, and it's kind of depressing. Actually, I'm not going to show everybody because it's kind of embarrassing, um, that I stayed here for a year and a half almost. Not specifically this location, but this is the last place that I left before I started getting my life back together. And you all know I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And once you really start to believe in yourself again, no matter if you fall, you have to rise. That's just how I have lived my life. Many of you know that, being in this situation, like I really am back at camp. So being in this situation for 14, 15 months changes a person, clearly. But you learn how to live minimal. I was isolated out here as well. There was nobody here. It was just myself. It's not like, I was in some sort of encampment that everybody reads about online and, all the fucking drugs and all that shit. I stay away from all of that. Everybody knows that. I have a mission, and it's not that. It's actually to try and battle that and help with that too, So it has been a very graceful last few months. Even though things didn't work out the way that I had envisioned, everything again happens for a reason. And actually, this is a better story for everybody because this is actually something that I have been fighting for since day one. It's about family. My kids were taken away from me because of false allegations. I went through I want to say a nightmare through the criminal court system because of false allegations, and well, that's the silver bullet tactic. So if anybody knows about that, you know that that's a battle on its own, and then family court's a completely different story. So nearly 6 years now I've battled the family courts, exposed them, put myself on the line, had to make a lot of sacrifices. And I kind of considered the last year and a half as kind of like a little personal social experiment because of being homeless, and I had to experience it no matter what because my options were limited. And to be quite honest, didn't want anybody coming into my life that was going to steer me on that wrong path because I was pretty much already fucking there to begin with. Not gonna lie, I take accountability for that. Whatever I've done, I'll take accountability for always. And yeah, it was tough. You guys know I've made some rant videos. I got tons and tons of videos. I've documented this whole experience here. Maybe one day we'll put it all together because it was wild. But again, everything happens for a reason. And the last couple of months in Beamsville, they were very positive. I'm not gonna say that it was a waste. Unfortunately, there's, due to some things, sometimes you got to walk away from things, but you can still walk away peacefully, respectfully, and with your head up. You don't have to always walk away with anger and division. Like I put out a lot of, in these videos that's what it is. They want us divided, fuck. We all know that. So we got to stay stronger than that. And being out in the wilderness, out in nature, where there's no distractions from the outside world, basically, it is very peaceful here. I'm sure everybody can hear the birds chirping. This is actually where, I was reborn here many years ago. So I really, really found myself within this last year and a half being out here. You find out how fucking strong you are just by getting through some of the things that you've gone through. Like just before I left here back in March, I suffered like, a mild heart attack from the fucking cold. We were in minus 30, like, vortex shit out here, and it was cold. Trust me. I felt that shit, but everything teaches you something. So again, I'm back here this morning. Things didn't work out in Beamsville, but more positive things happened. And one of those positive things that happened is my mother wanted to reach out to me actually at the same time that I moved out to Beamsville, but I ended up going that route because, two people really did need some help. And, I got really close with one person. I don't want to name her, don't want to put her on the spot, but, she's always going to be a part of this story and a part of this journey, because you bump into people on your journeys, your paths. You might take different paths, but sometimes you cross paths with people that they teach you things. And one thing that she taught me, being in a hospital bed, and I was basically almost a PSW for the last few months, but a personal, private home support worker. I didn't do some things, but I did a majority of the things that a PSW would do. Helped her with her medication, did talks with her. She taught me a dice game. I beat her. But, people teach you a lot of things, and she taught me more to be grateful. I looked at my life at that point when I met her, and I said, I can't fucking complain about my life. This is a girl that is like half paralyzed. She's had troubles all her life, and now is half paralyzed in a hospital bed in the living room of her mother's house. And it will be with me forever, because it actually taught me more gratitude than I had. And that's a good thing. You have to take these fucking positive things away from every situation, no matter if it's good or bad. Always take the positive, and then carry that on. So my mother reached out to me through my brother back around that time, and instead I came out here. I went to Beamsville and left here. But just so happens, my brother reached out to me because he's I knew he was going through something, and sometimes you gotta let people feel what they need to feel, and sometimes you really can't be there. I know, I've been there myself. Even with the isolation out here, I had to be here by myself in order to be who I am. So I understand it, I really do. And you don't have to walk away always mad. You just sometimes gotta walk away. So he reached out to me almost at the same time, and I kind of explained things to him that maybe it was time. And my mother wanted to, my mom actually finally broke away from my ex-wife's stuff, which is a good thing, which is actually why I hesitated to maybe make this video, but I'm going to do it anyways, because my ex-wife can't control me anymore, and that's her biggest problem. And I am just much stronger than she is, and I'll always be, because she's a narcissist. And I'm doing things for the right reasons, not because of greed, jealousy, and being a narcissist. So things change and things get better always. And my good friend Russell messaged me, and he's been helping me out. He's one of the reasons why I'm alive. If it wasn't for the sleeping bag that he bought me, I probably wouldn't have made that minus 30 weather. So I'm grateful, and I always have gratitude for that that shit kept me alive. But he taught me that I don't give up. I never have, and I never will. And that was like one of the last things he said to me, because he's on tour and I was busy as shit. And I love that guy, and I'm proud of him. And I know he's going through some things too, but you got to keep moving forward always. We do our things for our little people that are obviously someday hopefully going to take some form of our shoes. So if I can teach my kids something in the long run, it's to never give up, because now me and your grandmother are finally on the right path, and that's what I've been fighting for this whole time. is family. Family's got to come first. Especially in the society and the world that we live in, you have to stick together with your family. You know, I'm the oldest. My this brother here, he's the youngest, and my mother, and the bloodline for our generation ends with his youngest son, which is 6. So, my kids are probably next in line to maybe have kids. So that's a new generation, and we got to step that shit up and stick together and help each other. And I just did that with some other people, and it was a good experience. I'm not taking away from it at all. It just didn't work out the way that I think we all needed it to work out, and especially for me as I'm growing and I'm starting to get my life back in order with even getting ID and being able to vote on April 28th. That was huge. Whether or not we won or lost, I know why we lost, but that'll be another story for another day. But those are steps that I needed to take. I took those steps, and I'm going to keep going, right? So everything is just the way that I knew God and the universe put me here in the first place for, was to really learn and then be able to pass on some stuff, because I'm strong enough to do it. And I hope my ex-wife watches this and realizes that you don't have that grasp on my family anymore. We took back our control. So that's my update for today. Again, today's Wednesday, May 7th. It's fucking beautiful out here. I'm gonna go walk, get some cream for coffee, make some contacts to get some work, and then we're getting back to what we need to get back to. And if whether or not it's the government that I wanted, the fight never ends for family law reform either. So anybody that's watching that has been following me since day one, which was August 6th of 2019, we're never stopping. And I'm living proof that I'll never give up on my kids. And I hope to pass that torch off to a few people out there to do the same thing and make some sacrifices in life, because eventually they will pay off. I am living proof of that. So I hope everybody does have a good day today. Keep your head up, stay positive, and everything does happen for a reason, and you just have to really believe in something. But most importantly, fucking believe in yourself.